ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावतीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Namaste. See, communication is amazing. We are communicating from the womb to the tomb. Now, what we are trying to understand is, are we communicating consciously or impulsively? See, the whole idea is that, okay, we have to communicate, whether you like it or not. It's very compulsive. But can you make it in a conscious way? See, that is the purpose of this particular session. Now, I would like to make some of the observations. See, why you should have a communication? We are doing it. We are absolutely helpless. We keep on, communicating. Now, why should you communicate? So, I am the subject to communicate. I am communicating with the entire world. So, what is the relationship between me and the world or to whom I am communicating? So, what is the benefit for both? Suppose I am talking to myself, the individual one. So it's a self-talk. See, according to me, that is the best. When I talk about the self-talk, that means you are able to have a positive strokes within yourself, not chattering with the mind. See, what is happening, the mind is keep on chattering with the negative thoughts, so many thoughts. But what I am talking about particular communication is self-talk in a very positive way, with a positive stroke. Now, when you are talking to somebody else, that means, suppose two people are talking, that means it's a dialogue. Suppose three people are talking, it's a trialogue. Now, suppose you are talking about a group. This is a group. Now, we are addressing the entire nation. That is the conversation and communication. Now, you have to understand the dynamics of all the areas. When I am talking to myself, so I must tell myself with a lot of positive strokes. That is one. Not chattering of the mind. That is one. Now, how you can convert the compulsive communication to a conscious communication. That means whatever I am talking, I must be absolutely aware. I must be absolutely conscious. So, most of us will do it only because of the compulsion. So, let us understand this particular concept. So, I would like to make it, 3 points which are very important. See, the entire communication, the purpose of communication is, that means you have to create a kind of harmony. Suppose I am talking to all of you. I am not looking at you, but I am visualizing. See, that means my idea is to create a kind of harmony with all of you. That means you must have an open mind. I must have an open mind. Similarly, all of you also must have an open mind. Then it must have a kind of a empathy. What do you mean by empathy? Do unto others as well wish them do unto you. That means I want to be happy. I don't want to be hurt. Similarly, I should make others also happy, and I also should not hurt the other people also. This is what I mean by the empathy. Okay, see, when you are talking about the communication, there are two things. We have to express, you have to sell the dreams, you have to express, but you should not only impress. If you are able to impress by expressing, it is amazing. But if there is a choice only to impress, I think I would like you to express your views instead of impressing. But we are both fantastic. That is one. That means when you are talking about any communication, that means there must be a substance. What is that I am going to communicate? So I must be very conscious. So when I am sending the communication, the way in which he is able to receive, so there should not be too much of gap or noise. That means one is the substance or the content or the style. Next one. The substance is important. The style is also important. But if you have both, very good. But most important is the substance. Similarly, the content is more important than the container. Okay. Now I would like to make you to understand one particular concept, this particular communication. That means when you are communicating with some people, that means your entire idea is to build up the harmony and the relationship. In other words, you must build the bridge, not the wall. So that is the purpose of this particular communication. Now, unfortunately, most of the relationship is spoiled because the lack of right communication. I am sure all of you will be able to understand, appreciate, and also try to recognize the importance of this communication. Okay, now let me ask you, when you talk about the communication, there is a lot of the aspects: chatting, talking, listening, and messaging. So many other factors also. This is all crowded, isn't it? With all that, how you are going to communicate effectively? That's more important. Now there are so many barriers in communication. There's a lot of emotion, there is a lot of cultural differences and poor listening. There are so many barriers in communication which you have to accept and transcend. See, for me to transcend, I must recognize and accept before transcending. So be aware about the barriers of the communication. Now, with all this, the technology and other things like SMS, WhatsApp, and so many other, they're saying now the way in which we are communicating is becoming completely different. Now, normally, what happens? We normally communicate with a spoken word or a written word or a visual images and also a kind of the body language and all the technology that we are using now. See, now the most important for you to understand the entire concept of communication doesn't really matter what you are going to do also. You must make sure that what I want to really communicate, what exactly I want to express. So it must be done in such a way we are conscious and we are aware about the content. So this is the purpose of this particular session. That means doesn't really matter. You cannot be perfect immediately. Now it is a kind of not a theory, it is a practical tips I am giving you. That means you have to start talking to yourself, self-talk in a positive way, and also you have to communicate properly with your father, mother, brother, sister, and wife and our friends, all other people, you have to communicate. How? We are already doing it in a compulsive way. But I want you to graduate from the compulsive way to the conscious way. See, that is the purpose of this communication. Okay, now I want to make it very simple. I don't want to make it too much of a technical subject. That means I just want to give you the ABC of a effective communication. Not a communication, effective communication. Now, when you are talking to some people, or one-to-one, or a group, or a nation, or even I am talking to all of you, okay, I must get the attention first to all of you. Suppose I am talking to one-to-one, now I must make sure that I must be able to get the attention of the other person. That means you must have an open mind. That means you have to get the kind of attention with whom you are communicating. See, that is very important. See, otherwise it will be only traffic. There will be a lot of traffic jam. So the first one is, I call it the ABC of communication. That means you must get the attention of the person to whom you are going to communicate. Okay, fine. Now, you have to also understand whatever I am communicating, it must be accurate. The accuracy is very important. Suppose if you don't have the accuracy, that means you lose your credibility, which is very, very, very important. See, being ignorant, nothing wrong. But you should not pose that you are wise. That means when you are able to communicate, that means the accuracy is very important. First you get the attention with whom you are talking, and then also make sure that what I am talking must be accurate to the best of my knowledge. That is one. Next is the brevity. What do you mean by brevity? Very brief. What can be done must be in a measured way. You must communicate. Not more, not less. I always give the example of the salt. Suppose if you take the salt, if you take too much, that means you cannot eat. If it is too less, you cannot eat. It will be insipid. So it must be absolutely optimum. Similarly here, when you are talking about the communication, the brevity is absolutely important. Okay, just think, whatever that you are doing, you be very conscious. Okay, the next one is, the clarity. See what is happening? Now, when I want to communicate, when I want to give a message, so whatever I am talking to you now, so unless otherwise, I have got a clarity about my thought and what exactly I want to communicate with you and convey with you. That means I will not have a clarity. So I must have a clarity. It is something like, if I want to give money to you, so I must have a money and also the mind. Similarly here, when I want to give a message to people, or when you have a kind of a dialogue, whatever you want to do it also, that means I must have a lot of clarity within myself. Okay, one is I must get the attention and be very accurate in whatever I am talking, and then you must be very brief, there is brevity and also the clarity. Now the next is, the kind of a delivery. When I say about delivery, that means the way in which I am able to really communicate. Suppose I am just doing with a very monotonous tone. If there is no kind of a modulation, I just keep on telling the same pitch. There is no ups and downs. There is no modulation. See, that means the man who is going to listen, you will find it difficult. He cannot grasp. See, the most important thing in the communication, not only the man who is talking, but also the listener also. See, the listener must be really interested to listen to me. So that means the delivery is more important. That means your modulation and the way you are going to do it with a lot of pause and so many other things, so that it is more like a drama. It is like a drama. Yes, so I am talking to you. I must be able to enjoy. I must be able to deliver. So this is what I call it, the delivery. So there is one more thing called the diction. What do you mean by diction? Using the right word at the right occasion. Using the right word in the right action is the diction. So over a period of time, you will be able to develop. Then the most important thing according to me is the eye contact. See, what do you mean by eye contact? You are talking about the window and the mirror, right? Now, see, the eye can see the entire world through the window, but unfortunately, it cannot see its own eye. And if you want to see the eye, you have to go to the mirror. Similarly, here, now when you are talking to somebody whom you are going to communicate, see, that means the real mirror of this man's mind is his eye. I always give a lot of importance on the eye contact. A man who has got a tremendous amount of confidence, lot of self-confidence, he will always look at the eyes. Even he will also penetrate into the eyes. That means once I am able to penetrate into the eyes, you get energized. So the whole idea is the communication to energize. The whole idea is to communicate, is to give a kind of a message. Now for that, you must be able to understand the dynamics. That means your eye contact makes all the difference. Just imagine. So I am talking to you. I am looking at this and talking. See, that means you will not be able to really understand my feeling, or maybe feeling I am very casual. Now, for me to make you to understand that I am very conscious about whatever I am doing, not casual, that means I have to demonstrate my message. That means one. And E for the empathy, which is most important. See, for example, you would never like to listen to a person who is always boring. Isn't it? That means you must make sure that it's yes. Now I would like to communicate whatever has to be done in the right way. The last one, which is very important, is the focus. So when you talk about the focus, that means yes, this is the purpose I want to reach. When you start the communication, you are trying to understand and or getting the attention of the audience, and also make sure that I am able to communicate with all my other technique. And the last one is the kind of feedback. Now you always need a kind of feedback. See, after all, even a child need a kind of feedback. Suppose you are talking to your wife, you are talking to your the employee or whoever it is there. So you must always try to find out that what is the feedback from the other person. But it may be right, it may be wrong. But you must have enough intelligence to identify that whatever that is good, you always try to implement. Whatever is not that good, just ignore. You don't have to reject, just ignore. See, this is the purpose of the entire communication. That means, I just want to repeat once again. First, you have to get the attention of the person to whom you are communicating. Think. It is very important. If you don't get the attention of a person, you already lost him. So whatever that you are doing is only a noise. It is not a communication. Then make it as very brief and get a lot of clarity when you are going to communicate. Suppose if you are completely confused, but you will only communicate the confusion to others. That means you must have a lot of clarity. Then the delivery. the way in which you are going to read also, and the diction. And let me once again emphasize the importance of the eye contact. The eye contact is amazing. When you are talking to one person, that means you are able to energize through the eye contact. The last one is the focus. And also get the feedback. See, I cannot, this is a very big subject. I don't want to make it as a technical subject in explaining to you, but it's a very simple way of ABC of effective communication. Now, how can you really have this communication? I want to just give you kind of a formula. That is an effective communication. The most important thing is when before you started communicating with the people also, you must try to find out what is the direction I want to go. Think, you have to identify or tell yourself. So what at the end of the communication, what exactly I want? What is the purpose? Before the starting, I must have the direction. That means if you want to go to Huzur, I cannot go towards the Mysore. So I must know the direction. The direction is more important. And also the quantity of words that I am using. What do you mean by quantity of words? That means I am talking about the brevity. Make it very simple so that the other person can understand. So you don't have to exhibit your mastery of your language. So your whole idea is to make him to understand. You make it very simple. Okay, that is the quantity and the quality of words. One is the effective communication is a kind of a formula. I am just giving it to you. When you are talking to people, you always say, the quantity and the quality of words. When you talk about the quantity, is the brevity. That means make it very simple and understandable. And also the direction. If you are able to do that, that means you will be able to get what exactly you want. Now it is not easy. It is not easy. It is not impossible. But the only thing I want to just suggest you is that we have been doing like in a compulsive way. We are communicating. Whether you like it or not, we keep on communicating. You are crying and worrying, so many other way of doing it also. But what I am trying to say, you graduate from the compulsive way to a conscious way of communicating. I am sure that you will be able to improve, and over a period of time, please measure yourself to what extent you are able to communicate. All the best. God bless you. Take care. Be safe. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.